So, today is one of those days. One of those days when thoughts provoke reflection and introspection. You realize, you start to reflect and introspect, and you realize the difference of holding on and letting go. And then you actually are able to address the things that you didn't think you was holding on to, that you're still kind of holding on to, and you gotta let go. Because I found myself earlier in it was pretty random too, but where I just started to think about like this situation pertaining to my children and my ex. And for a second, I was considering like how hurtful the actions have been and how harmful the actions could be on my children when it comes to the things that are being done in order just to try to hurt me. And it made me feel some type of way. And like immediately when I started to feel that, I started to kind of like feel angry about it. I did. I felt a little angry for a bit. I was like, hold up. And immediately it was like, my body was like, all right, I'm going to have to release this, because immediately my heart felt heavy. And so it was enough to catch my attention. Like, okay, I need to really address this within myself and sit down and kind of like, you know, release it. And I ain't going to say I done did that 110%, but what I will say is I'm working on it. Because it baffles me. Like, you can try your best to make healthy decisions, good decisions, do right by people. But it's like the more you are determined and committed to doing right by yourself, by others, and working on breathing within your purpose, it's like the more distractions come. And a lot of the times the distractions aren't coming from randoms, you know? Though sometimes they're disguised as they're coming from randoms. But in all reality, those seeds are being planted not just by your own thoughts, but also by individuals that mean no well. And it baffles me sometimes because I've always known as a child that there's different levels of desperation, right? But I've never fully had to sit and deal with the reality that when somebody becomes desperate to prove a narrative or to hurt somebody because they felt like they was wrong, whatever the case is, like how far that desperation can become toxic and tumultuous and damaging and a little bit of everything, you know? And half the time when it's being aimed towards you, like for me, for instance, when it's being aimed towards me, it's easy to feel like I'm being wronged or something's being done against me. But what I had to realize today when I was in my little bit of a moment of feeling my feelings, I had to realize that, like, yeah, it makes me feel some type of way. But in all reality, it's 10 chances out of 9 hurting that other person that's doing the shit and projecting those feelings way more than what is hurting me. Because if it wasn't hurting them, they wouldn't need to project those feelings. They wouldn't feel the need to try to get rid of them. Those feelings and emotions and the guilt and the intensity of the things they've done by means of projection. Like, for instance, somebody that would want me to be convinced that I'm doing something wrong right now would attempt to use what I'm doing at this moment as if I'm projecting. However, what I'm doing is I'm releasing and I'm just having a conversation pretty much with myself. It's just I may share this conversation that I'm having with myself. And I really don't care how that's perceived because I know what my intentions are, like as far as, what it looks like. But look at the hair. Look, change the subject, but look at the hair. My hair is getting, my hair is getting there. I was listening to like a podcast the other day and then reading a couple articles, and they was talking about the difference between curly hair and straight hair and connecting that with spirituality. Yeah. And also science to some degree. And that was like a deep little, it got deep. Because I started to think about and remember when I was so, what's the word? So conditioned to believe that I needed to look a certain type of way for people to see me. But when you're going against who you are authentically in order to be seen, are you really seen? No. You know? The act you're putting on may be seen. The persona you're wearing may be seen. The mask may be seen. But how are you really being seen if you're not even being you? So, because I was thinking about it because yesterday I had like this fro and I had combed my hair out. So I had combed a lot of my curls out, but like my roots are naturally curly. So this part was like froed out, but it was curly up here, and then I got some gray hair coming in. And initially, when I looked at myself in the mirror, I was like I look funny, like I'm funny looking. But then I was getting compliments about my fro, like your hair is very beautiful, and I was like what? But then it just provoked some thoughts, and obviously I'm not fully ready to share some of these thoughts because if I was, I wouldn't be beating around the bush. It's so crazy. When you start loving on yourself a little more, giving yourself love, things kind of fill in. Because, like, a couple years ago, my face, I used to have, like, not a super chunky face, but and not even, I couldn't even say full, but this part was a little fuller. And, well, no, when I was younger, this part was a little fuller. But a couple years ago, when I was still in my toxic ass relationship, my face was sinking in. I was losing weight, like, and it wasn't even no good explanation. I couldn't figure out why I was losing so much weight and why I was looking so worn down and just like literally looked like my life force was being sucked out of me. And I'm still not 100% where I want to be within my skin, but it's been 2 years almost. It'll be going on 3 years. So we're not even at the 3 year mark, but it's been 2 years now that I've been out of that relationship. And slowly but surely, it's like I'm watching the life pour back into me. And though everything doesn't always happen the way I want it to happen, and there's a lot of things that has happened that I'm like, I don't want it, don't like it, or I feel like I want to crash out about it, then it's almost like the universe will send me something that kind of assists with reminding me that nothing happens by default, and even the things that we can look at and see as damaging or inconvenience or an inconvenience um, can bring wonders, you know. So yeah, a whole bunch of nothing about something and something about nothing. My hair do look super healthy right now. Anywho, y'all have a beautiful, beautiful day today.